will call the roll for the commission.
Yes.
Commission member Jackson? Here. Commission member Hunt? Present. Commission member Coons? Here. Commission member Laffey? Here. Commission member Murphy? Absent and excused. Commission member Perrin?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Liam Graham, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Go ahead. Thank you. Back to the council and the commission. We're at the approval of the agenda. What is the wishes of the council and the commission?
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Any concerns? Any questions? Hearing none from either the commission or the council, will accept that as approved. Moving on to audience participation. We have 3 minutes per person, limited to a total time of not more than 30 minutes. Please sign in, state your name, 3 minutes per person. Council meeting rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with the civility and dignity of the legislative process. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruptions to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. Again, please sign in, state your name, and you have 3 minutes per person.
My name is Bert Verrill. Seems like a lot of the information we get regarding the golf course, we find out that it's not exactly what they said it was. So 2 weeks ago, or 2 meetings ago, this balance sheet showed up with a lot of red numbers that I didn't understand, but to me it looked bad. So I did some checking what these red numbers mean. And then the following council meeting, the city manager gave us a page of what these numbers mean. I don't think she understands what this balance on the bottom number means, because she states in her paperwork here that some months some years the cash shortfalls exceed $600,000. She's not looking at the bottom line, which is the balance sheet, money owed to the general fund. Beginning in 2018, it was approximately $621,000. It has not gone up since that year. In fact, every year it's gone down and down and down. Down 150,000, in 21, down 90,000, in 22, down another 100,000, until we reached the 2024 number of $72,271. That's not including the unaudited $400,000 surplus that this council had to amend the 2025 budget for because of the overage. So by the time that 400,000 is audited into the 72, the red balance on what the golf course owes the general fund will be plus $350,000. And her statement said, just up until this last year, the golf course has been costing money. It has not been costing money. It's been paying down its debt to the tune of $1 million in the last 8 years, according to this balance sheet on the bottom. So I was glad I got to talk to some people who understood what that meant and they could explain it to me. And I know you guys don't get all the information. You just get told the FAA wants to close the airport, the liquor board's got us suspended, and we're losing $600,000 a year. So I just wanted to make sure you heard another person's opinion of what this paperwork actually means, because I know you're too busy to look up all that information. You have to rely on your leadership.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, is it? Do you have anybody on the list?
There's a gentleman coming forward.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is my first time here. I'm pretty nice. Anyways, I'm wondering, do we have a commissioner of animal control?
And then what's your name, sir?
Oh, Gary Davis. I'm sorry. Do we?
I have to tell you that this is not a question and answer period. If you ask questions, they're not going to answer you.
Oh, not even something as a commissioner of okay, I'm gonna go by thinking we do have one, and maybe just ain't here today. And I'd like to talk about this dog death thing that went on here since January. People calling in saying these dogs have been mistreated. Many of, it's on the internet, on the news. I read it all. My daughter-in-law read it all to me. Since January, people have been complaining about dogs being neglected. Not fed, not this, not that. No, I don't, whoever owned them ran off or did this or did that. But people in the community were offering to feed these dogs. Some were even offering to take them in. But it all went on deaf ears as far as the animal control was concerned. Nobody did jack. And this one fella, Dickerson, whatever his name was, he said that, don't worry, we're on it. No dogs are gonna die on my watch, you know. And that was in March, I believe. Well, here we are now, and they're all dead. Some of them, they had to chip off the ice because they were froze to the ground. Now, this is Alaska. We don't treat our animals like that. You know, you hit a moose and you break his leg, you don't just throw him off to the side, let him starve to death. You know, you put him out of his misery. And if that's what needed to be done with these dogs, that's fine, you know, that's okay. But that's not what happened. They starved to death. And that's just BS. Now, somebody's responsible for this crap, and somebody needs to be held accountable for it. You know, there is animal cruelty, federal animal cruelty laws in all 50 states. Alaska's no exception. Maybe even more because of our sled dogs and our mushers and all that. Yeah, PETA's watching they watch them all the time, you know? So I just don't understand why anybody, whether it's the boss or this Dickinson guy or whoever it was, people let this go. And it should not have happened. So I'm just wondering if the council here can look into that, light a fire underneath somebody's butt, and let's find some answers. You know, these dogs, you know, no way, man. You let them starve, they're froze to the ground? Come on. Unacceptable.
Sir, there's a borough assembly meeting happening right now, and that's where they're talking about this. This is a borough issue. If you get.
Oh, okay.
They're talking about it right now.
Okay, well, thanks.
You bet.
Did anybody record that? Because that was some pretty good stuff. I'll take it down there with me.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Clyde. And where's it?
At the borough building.
And where's that?
The big white building.
Oh, right around over yonder.
Or the library, behind the library downstairs, or no, just go and sign in and.
had a can. I don't know.
Right on. Well, thank you all kindly for listening to me.
And they're talking about it right now.
Madam Clerk, do we have any others
I think we're good.
that we're done?
I think we're done.
All right, so let's close the hearing and then let's move on to new business. New business, we need a motion to go into committee of the whole, please. Yes,
Hold on, Mayor. I don't know why. No. Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you, and,
Okay. And we can hear you.
all right.
There's always
So
something.
again, we need a motion to go into committee of the whole, please.
I move we enter committee as a whole.
Second that.
Okay, so I have Alcantara.
Any questions, concerns, comments, objections?
I can call a roll call vote real quick.
Thank you.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Allen,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier,
Yes.
Commissioner Member Jackson,
Yes.
Commission Member Hunt,
Yes.
Commission Member Combs.
Yes.
Commission Member Laffey. Yes. And Commission Member Perrin.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved. We're in committee of the whole. And I believe that the Director of Community Development wanted to give a quick introduction.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, commissioners, and members of the public. My name is Nathaniel Lutz. I am the Director of Community Development for the City of Palmer. It is my privilege to introduce the members of our Planning and Zoning Commission and to frame the purpose of our tonight's joint meeting. Over the last 18 months, this commission has taken on a significant workload and delivered meaningful outcomes for the community through regular meetings, work sessions, public hearings. They have advanced updates to our zoning districts, reviewed and acted on conditional use permits and subdivisions, and worked through complex land procedures that balance private rights with long-term community goals. They've also leaned into public engagement, ensuring that applicants and residents alike have a clear forum to be heard, and that decisions are grounded in both code and community input. The work is not always high profile, but it's foundational. The commission has helped shape development patterns, supported economic activity with the goal of preserving the character of Palmer in a way that aligns with our comprehensive plan and municipal code. This steady, methodical effort is exactly what good planning looks like. Under Palmer Municipal Code, Chapter 2.20, the Planning and Zoning Commission serves as an advisory capacity to the City Council on matters of land use, development, and zoning regulations. They are tasked with reviewing proposed ordinances, making recommendations on the policy, and acting on specific applications within their authority. In short, they are the technical and policy bridge between community vision and the regulatory implementation. Tonight's joint meeting is intentional. It is to bring together the policymaking body, the City Council, and the advisory quasi-judicial body, Planning and Zoning Commission, to align on priorities, clarify expectations, and to ensure consistency in how we approach growth and development. When these two bodies are in sync, we reduce ambiguity for applicants, improve efficiency in decision-making, and strengthen the public trust in the process. This collaboration is especially important as Palmer continues to see development interest and as we evaluate potential updates to our code and long-range planning efforts. Having shared the understanding of roles, responsibilities, and direction allows us to be more proactive rather than reactive. So tonight's meeting is not just a working session to reinforce alignment. Tonight is not just a meeting. It's a working session to reinforce alignment, improve the communication, and ultimately serve the residents of Palmer more efficiently. I wanted to thank you for taking the time tonight and look forward to it. Thank you.
Nate, thank you. And now, Madam Chair, I will turn this part of the meeting over to you.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Cooper, and thank you, Mr. Utz, for that very complete and thoughtful and nice introduction. I'm going to go ahead and read my report, which does kind of cover some of the things that Nate already covered, but just in case you didn't hear it once, you're going to hear it twice. So, and good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow commissioners, staff, and members of the public. Thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit about Planning and Zoning Commission. Planning and Zoning serves primarily in an advisory role to the City Council. Our responsibilities include developing and updating the comprehensive plan, making recommendations to the Borough Plating Board, reviewing development proposals, and acting in a quasi-judicial capacity when required, such as during rezoning proceedings. Since our last joint meeting in July of 2024, the Commission has reviewed 16 plats, completed several key items. We requested and received funding to update the 2006 Comprehensive Plan and the 2021 Annexation and Economic Analysis Report. We also reviewed Title 17.89 regarding short-term rentals. Additionally, we approved a rezoning off Airport Way from R1 to CBB, Commercial Business Park, with special limitations, and we reviewed and approved the site plan for the new emergency services facility. We also spent considerable time discussing parking concerns in the Central Business District. The Commission, with City Council approval, sought professional assistance to study parking and pedestrian access for Palmer. RESPEC has completed the study, and we have received their final report. The Commission also participated in discussions regarding the DOT Glen Highway improvements from Arctic to Palmer Fishhook. Through our efforts, the project scope was expanded to include improvements to the Alaska Street and Arctic intersection. Looking ahead, and that is the next item on the agenda. May I just go ahead? Okay.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Looking ahead, our priorities include continuing to advocate for safety improvements on Arctic Avenue from Alaska Street to the bridge over the Matanuska River, working on the comprehensive plan update, reviewing the Central Business District parking study, and moving forward to implement recommendations from the plan, promoting the plan to utilize the railroad corridor north of the depot for community access, recreation, parking, and general enjoyment, development reviews, and supporting City Council in their efforts to move ahead with annexation. A tentative date for our next joint Planning and Zoning and City Council meeting could be October 20th, 2026. The Planning and Zoning Commission appreciates the continued collaboration with City Council, and we look forward to working together to support thoughtful growth and long-term planning for the City of Palmer. Thank you. That is my report. Are there any questions? Okay, then moving on. He would like me to do that, right? Yes. Okay. So we are going to ask Linda Combs to give a report on the downtown Palmer Railroad Corridor plan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Gee, the first paragraph I have written here sounds a lot like Nate and Liz, but I think a lot of people don't understand exactly what planning and zoning does, and that's why you're hearing this again, that we are a quasi-judicial advisory body that endeavors to assist in the shape, the growth, and development of our city. That includes balancing regulatory compliance, community input, and long-term planning objectives to guide sustainable and orderly development. In Palmer, the Planning Commission demonstrates this role by reviewing land use applications, conducting public hearings, and making recommendations to the City Council on zoning and planning matters. In May of 2025, the Planning and Zoning Board directed their staff to update the previous resolution from the prior year to resolution number 25003 to be presented to the city clerk for inclusion on the soonest possible agenda of the Palmer City Council. This resolution refers to the named Downtown Railroad Corridor Plan. Included in your packet is an abbreviated format regarding this plan, which can be accessed in its entirety on the City of Palmer's website. As somebody commented when I passed them out, yes, we have pictures. I thought it would be helpful so that you could envision what area we're talking about. I always refer to it in my conversations with individuals as think of going outside the train depot and going north. And that pretty much estimates it. We this is in keeping with previous commitments of the city of Palmer, that would benefit the downtown core area to receive, in some vernacular, a facelift, if you will, in the direction of the railroad space traveling north, ending where the Palmer Skateboard Park currently resides. It calls for utilization of some already open areas in order to accommodate events and/or be used as park-like settings. We also have a history in the city of Palmer of promoting having a certain amount of parks. And there's a reason for that. Parks tend to make a community a lot more memorable and beautiful besides. So the necessary process at this point is for the city council to study the full proposal and send any questions and possible changes back to the commission. Unquestionably, that means a needed discussion with city officials, staff, and the public. My understanding of the current sentiment throughout the community indicates that this is very much needed, a very much needed direction to continue to fulfill the community's wishes to maintain the uniqueness of our town. To that end, I would like very much, along with my fellow commissioners, to encourage the city council to prioritize updating previous comprehensive plans by actions that reflect this continued commitment to the quality of life that is enjoyed here by our residents. I would ask that you take these, there were studies done, obviously, by Stantec, and some of these ideas, just to give us an idea of what could be done with this space, okay? Because sometimes you just look at it, especially after a heavy snowfall, and you go, duh, I wonder if something could go there. There's a few things, of course, that caught my eye in particular when I talked to individuals about it. I would love to see the possibility of a larger open-air market that's full-time, for example. And that's pictured here. It would address, in a lot of ways, I like to think of it as, we've already worked on the area from where the Palmer Pioneer Home is, towards the depot. We've done some stuff with raising the tracks there. We've participated in adding different elements that make that a very amiable portion of our community, and we just need to keep moving forward. We can't just stand still, for example. So, again, this planning and zoning does a lot of work that some people would consider very boring, believe me. I've been very proud to be a member of this commission for the last 7 years after having served 9 years on the city council. I love it because I continue to learn more. And that's why I was really pleased that we were able to finally have this joint meeting. Back when I was on city council, we had joint meetings much more frequently. And I'll tell you right now that my personal opinion always was that your commissions and boards are your right hands. They are going into detail, and they will be bringing you what you need to do to save you time to continue with your commitment that I know every one of you have to this community. That's enough. If anybody has a question about this in particular, I'd be happy to try to answer it.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Commission Member Combs. Pretty exciting stuff as Palmer gets ready to turn 75 next week. I mean, you get, when I look at these pictures, I say pictures with 1,000 words. It's exciting things. I'm just wondering whether it's in this Stantec handout or whether it's somewhere. If money was no object, do you have a dollar figure on what it would take to do these 9 things that are?
No, that's in the process, When somebody pitches that we need some movement on something, on a project like this, there's a standard process that you go through, and we're not to the budget process yet. It's like, we're to in the point of process, the way I understand it is, we took it on because it was proposed, then we send it to you. You come up with your questions and any directions, you send it back to us, and we'll be sending it back and forth, and that'll include a request for a budget, okay, or with some proposed budgeted amounts, you know. It will also include public hearings, okay, because the input from our public is extremely important, our downtown business owners in particular, but I think it would revitalize, I used to drive, I lived for 35 years on the north side of Palmer. I used to drive that section, you know, a couple times a day. And I can easily envision it. I find it exciting, you know. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you.
That's a good answer. Good education. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
So I just want to say, I've never seen this before, but I know that this was one of the things that you guys had been working on. You said this was the full thing is posted on the city website?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's pretty thick.
I imagine. It looks like they did a lot of work on this. I definitely share your excitement because have also driven by that a number of times, and all I keep thinking is, the vetch is taking over. So it would be really nice to see some more development in that area and make it more usable, because right now it's just kind of, it's vetch, it'll eat you. So one of the questions I had was the north section has those edible planters in the community garden, and is that also included in some of the future plans that Stantec had put together? Because I know that's a really big draw, is having those community gardens, all that kind of thing throughout the summer.
There was nothing ever proposed to take away anything that's already there. In fact, I was just thinking of those particular planters because I remember when the city of Palmer acquired those.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, a good friend of mine who happened to, at the time, was the mayor of Wasilla, had been over here for a meeting, and I got a phone call and said, Linda, tell me where you can get those. I want those in Wasilla. And I said, sorry, Bert, they're gone. We got them first, you know, and they're beautiful where they're at. So, yes, but you know, but having the skateboard park where it is and stuff, and then there's been a movement, as much as possible, a lot of it volunteer movement, to improve, and my good friend here, Barbara, who walks twice a day in downtown Palmer, she can tell you that walkway alone was a huge improvement, you know. So we've taken baby steps, and this is like, let's take some more steps, because we've got an obviously wonderful community. It's very unique, and we need to keep it growing, and so that it offers more.
Do we have a plan in place as this as the plan for this evolves? Do we have a way of directly involving those kind of stakeholders, like the folks that run stuff out of those planters, the people that currently volunteer? Do we have a way to directly contact those organizations? Are they organizations, or is it just like a bunch of random folks that happen to come together all on the same day? Do you?
What a great idea. Make a note.
I would just
To
hate to lose
add
out
that,
on
to add that, that would be awesome, to add a list and contact, we have some awesome community organizations, and if they were at least notified and said, hey, we want your input, plus your volunteerism, you know, I mean, Palmer's actually pretty big on volunteerism, in my opinion, so, but that would be awesome to do. I do remember when Grow Palmer was first pitched in this room, this very room, actually, and that came from 2 or 3 people's ideas. You know, a little tiny bit of help money-wise from the city of Palmer, and it got started. And it's been in a few places before we went to the planners and stuff. So thank you. That's an awesome idea. I'm going to add that to my list anyway.
Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Graham, part of the, I don't want to call it an issue, But a compounding factor of this is that all that property is railroad right away. We currently have 4 leases with the railroad, and they, I think, expire this year, and we're in the process of, renewing those leases. And, for us to go in and do a lot of work from the depot north is going to require, obviously, railroad approval.
So,
Not that it can't be done.
so what I'm understanding is that land right now, we are leasing from the railroad?
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do we not do that anymore?
Oh,
Well, the railroad owns 100 feet on each side of the center of the track.
Even though it's
And
He's-
they are
he's-
not going to give that up at all.
despite the fact
So
that
it's-
there is no shot of that ever becoming active again in that area?
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Right. That's what we've been told. And so that's why we are pushing forward with this plan to actually eliminate the tracks from Depot North and make it, I'll call it a park, if you will, with gazebos and playgrounds and all that other kind of
So
good
if we
stuff.
take the tracks out, then it's no longer the railroad has any stake in it, or are they still do?
Well,
That's-
Okay, so
If I might add, because
Yeah.
I've done it, I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in over the last 20 years with the railroad, and whether or not the tracks are going to be used, and whether or not they're going to be replaced and stuff like that. Bottom line here, Councilwoman Graham, is that, yes, we would definitely be in conversations with the railroad. Number one, the Alaska State Railroad is not interested in any shape or form in selling their property. Number two, they have no problem with it being developed. A great example, the skateboard park. Yes, there would have to be conversations. Yes, we would have some pushback because there are some individuals in our community that do not want to see a single track lifted. However, there are ways to also address that in other projects. One project I worked on at one time in the last 10 years or so called for making more of a memorial at our railroad station, making sure we always will honor the history of what the railroad did in Palmer. Nobody's saying that needs to go away. But I can confidently tell you that a choo-choo train is not going to pull up in front of the train depot ever again, let alone go further north. It's not economically feasible for the Alaska State Railroad. They have no interest in it. They also just don't want to ever not be owners of the land. But again, they've been actually very interesting and adequate to work with.
I guess at some point, do we have squatters' rights? I know that's not really how the world works.
No, ma'am.
However, I have, oh, my mic's not on, my bad. I hope that we can try and readdress that with the railroad again as this moves forward with our plan.
Absolutely.
Can we bring Nate forward? I think he has a little updated information.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Yes, we're talking about railroad, right?
Yes.
So keep in mind right now, Whittier is in current negotiations with the Railroad Corporation. So it is not off the table. Also, the question is we can buy it, right? The railroad, Alaska Railroad, is getting significant lease arrangements by leasing that land to us because our infrastructure is actually going along parallel to the tracks. So I don't want to speak for them, but if I was the entity, I wouldn't sell land if I'm making money into perpetuity, right? It's like, well, why would I sell it? Because I'm going to make cyclical money every year, right? So that's my personal hat if I was running the railroad. So that's that part of it, but it is not off the table. We are currently going through this right now with Whittier. They're in conversations about a land swap. So it's there. And I think if I wear my city hat here, I would say that is something we really should be paying attention to because that is paramount. The railroad is not in the business of letting go of land. And this type of thing, I can't think of the word I'm thinking right now. It sets a precedence, right? That hasn't happened before. So I would say the city of Palmer should very actively watch that, because we could technically learn from that transaction and implement it for us, so.
Nate, would you give the commissioners your microphone, because they're going to need it eventually? Of course. Thank you. Go ahead, Liz, you can call in Commissioner Hunt.
Oh, Commissioner Hunt? And thank you, Commissioner Combs.
I forgot what I was going to say. I'm so sorry.
Was it something about your knowledge of this plan being started?
We've covered a lot of ground here facetiously with the railroad, and the plan that Linda has explained tonight. Nate is aware of how community development connects with some of the organizations that do work on that. And it's not totally, it's been explored, and I'm sure he could explain people that help there, that want stuff, that do stuff, that's already in process, and it's not something we need to renew. We just need to remind, I guess.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that is a process.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunt. Commissioner,
I'd like to just add one thing too, that you have to remember that one of the things that, if you direct us to pursue this, there's some updating to do. For example, if you might notice on the front page of what I handed you, it talks about library courtyard improvements for amphitheater and plaza. In other words, we've been working on this for a very long time, prior to the collapse of the roof of our library. But in the meantime, we haven't let it die either. We've continued to add to it and to our knowledge about it. So, but we did want to present it to you, to let you know that this is something that we feel strongly the city council needs to know about, give us direction about, so that we can together move forward and bring this hopefully to fruition for the betterment of the community.
Mr.
Anyone else?
Mayor,
Yes.
Commissioners, thank you very much for being here tonight. This brings back such fond memories of my serving on the Commission for Planning and Zoning. One of the things I really like about this plan is that it gives us ideas to move forward and plan. I really like the idea of the full-time market, because that's something that we can move off of the railroad corridor area. And that was my understanding, is that so long we could put things up, so long as we could remove them later, should the railroad come back and do what they do best, and that's rail race. And so I really like this. My question to you, and probably Nathaniel, is are you still working with the Board of Economic Development, the Airport Commission, Parks, Cultural, and Recreation Advisory Boards to continue with the comprehensive plan and getting their input together
Well,
for an update?
Councilmember Mosier, yes, just recently our chairwoman attended a Board of Economic Development meeting, and the thing is again, it's been around, as you know, for several years now, and there's enough of a turnover that they need a refresher on the plan itself, which was discussed at their last meeting. I believe I'd let the chairwoman explain that a little better if she feels the need to. But yes, there's been that connection, and obviously we have our awesome staff. They make sure that we talk to each other.
I had a question. So on number 5, removing the tracks, that's what we're doing there on Arctic, not on Arctic Way, on Evergreen, right there by the depot. That's happening this summer? right?
Yes.
Removing the tracks and then, and leveling that out. And did we remove, so number 3, on the other side of the depot, we pulled out tracks over there for that parking area? Or, no, we
No,
didn't
not
pull
yet.
tracks there?
Not yet.
Okay. But we paved more of it, right? On the other side of the depot?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Tracks will also be removed on, up the road further on Cedar Street. Crossing from Cedar where the old car wash was over to the police cop shop. Those tracks will be removed as well.
Is that going to happen this summer?
It's planned to get started, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If I may?
Yes. Couple of comments first. I really like the planning that's been done here. Two elements that I'm glad were incorporated in the ideas here. One is the incorporation of the tracks into usable space, I think would really be appreciated by the community. And the other is looking towards having a space that can be used year-round rather than just in the summer, so something that would be inviting to folks in the winter as well. I think that would really help to keep downtown vigorous during the winter months, so I thought that was neat. I did have one question on number 4, add handcart display. I'm just not sure what that's referring to.
I believe that's, I didn't even check that, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I believe that was part of the discussion of when we were talking about a memorial situation at the depot itself. There used to be a hand cart that sat there for a while. In fact, many years ago, we did little hand cart races, short ones.
I'm talking like on the tracks.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna go with it's there because it's part of the discussion that's been held. Again, there's going to be, some people are going to come out of the woodwork about removing railroad tracks, they always do, and my heart aches for them, but the other side of it is, no one is going to take away from completely making sure that all future residents, all the kids that get raised here, that play on a little choo-choo, that they know that there was the importance of having the railroad here, okay? It just outlived its usefulness. 75 years ago, one of the things that was proposed, one of the reasons we had the railroad come this way, really, not only was, bringing some of it was for bringing people, most of it was, the hope had been to use it for agricultural. Okay, that we would have such robust farming community that we would be hauling, things. So, but plans change. So, but we also need to have plans, and that's why we wanted to bring this to you guys tonight. It's like I said, it's been waiting in the wings for a while, and I really appreciate your reactions. I've sat through quite a few meetings with Councilmember Mosier and Chairwoman Jackson in particular in regards to this plan, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Combs. Is there any other discussion on this?
Just for our edification, how much are we currently paying for the railroad rent for those pieces of land that we're renting? I don't remember.
I embarrassingly don't know. Jude has been in negotiation, as Mr. Mayor had discussed. We're in discussion and combining those. We have 4 separate lease agreements, and we're trying to combine those into one. Jude is spearheading that. I don't know the accurate number, so I apologize.
So hearing no other comments on this, I do entertain someone to make a motion to come, Or we're still in committee of the whole?
We need-
Okay, I apologize. We will go on, thank you so much,
Already.
Commissioner Combs, and thank you all for your comments, questions. I'd like to go on to Arctic Avenue Safety with Commissioner Perrin, please.
Well, good evening, council, mayor. I'm here today to talk about Arctic Avenue, and I want to be direct with you. This is a life and safety issue. Over the past 5 years, we have documented multiple serious crashes on this corridor. And we're talking about that area between the Glen Highway on Arctic all the way to the bridge. Over the past 5 years, there have been serious crashes on the corridor, pedestrians struck, head-on collisions, vehicles running red lights, injuring people. The Alaska Department of Transportation formally classified this stretch as a high-priority safety improvement zone. And that designation, doesn't come lightly. So what are we dealing with? Arctic Avenue carries somewhere between 10,000 to 17,000 vehicles per day. Speeds routinely run 45 to 55 miles an hour. It is an undivided two-lane highway with virtually no pedestrian infrastructure, no sidewalks on much of the stretch of road, no crosswalk markings, no physical separation between opposing traffic, and almost no lighting at crossing points. People are expected to cross this road in the dark in winter at highway speeds, and that's outrageous, especially because the majority of the elementary schools are on the north side of Palmer. I want to put this in the context. Anchorage had a comparable situation on Spenard Road. Similar traffic volumes, similar classifications. When that corridor started producing serious crashes, Anchorage acted, they reduced speeds. They reconfigured lanes, adding lighting, adding crossings. They treated it like it was a safety emergency. It was. Arctic Avenue has none of those improvements, and we are years behind where we should be. Now, the DOT has a reconstruction project in the works, but that's not going to happen until 2030. We cannot wait 5 years and hope nobody else gets injured or killed in the meantime. That just doesn't seem acceptable to me. There are 3 proven deployable solutions that can go in now at modest cost and have a documented track record of saving lives. First, rectangular rapid flashing beacons. These are solar-powered, pedestrian-activated warning lights at crosswalk locations. They are the single most effective temporary pedestrian safety device available. Studies have shown that they reduce pedestrian crashes by 47% and get drivers to yield up to 98% of the time. We're recommending 3 installations at the highest risk crossing points. The second, enhanced street lighting. And I wanted to clarify that these suggestions have been brought up at the council meetings, and I myself, Nate, have all spoken also with the Palmer Police Department to get their ideas on corrective measures for that stretch of road. So second is enhanced street lighting at crossing areas. This is especially critical in Alaska because a pedestrian trying to cross Arctic Avenue on a November morning at 6:30 a.m. is essentially an invisible moving target. Pole-mounted lighting at designated crossing changes, 4 to 6 installations would run around $12,000 to $48,000. The third, portable pedestrian refuge islands. These are temporary center lane barriers that let a pedestrian cross one direction of traffic at a time on a high-speed, undivided road like this. They dramatically reduce exposure windows. 2 locations would run $10,000 to $50,000. Total for all 3 of these projects, $52,000 up to $165,000 on the high end. They're not experimental, they work. I want to close with this. We know the data. We know the fatalities. Recently, September, there was a fatality on it. And in speaking with the police department, they mentioned that no traffic markings they thought would have stopped that incident from happening. Well, we're not here to just protect the ones who are willing to ask for help. We're here to protect those who can't ask for help and who have serious other issues going on. We are here to protect everybody in the community, period. So saying it doesn't work, I don't accept that. We're here to protect everybody, especially those who can't ask for help themselves. I'm asking the council to direct staff to begin the process of funding and implementing these 3 measures on Arctic Avenue, not next year, this year. The community put its trust in us to make decisions that protect people, our neighbors and friends that have been hurt by inaction deserve better, and the next person trying to cross that road deserves it too. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question for you, and a comment. I have been in meetings with DOT, Adam Bradway, and Ben White, of who are DOT folks. And as you mentioned, there is a big project that they're looking at for Arctic. And I'm pushing the envelope to try to get other things done in addition to what you're talking about. You know, their one main issue is Three Bears when you come off of the Glen Highway. That's obviously is a problem that people are blocking the intersection there trying to turn left. My concern to them has been, a couple-fold. One is the intersection at Valley Way and Arctic. That is probably one of the most dangerous intersections that I see happening with kids trying to cross over to the skateboard park. People trying to walk across the street to Lecker Coffee or to other businesses downtown. And so I am in meetings with them to try to push project forward. I'll probably be meeting with them in a week or two again. And, I know that their timeline for their project is down the road. One of the big issues that I had brought up with them is the speed limit. I'm concerned, 20 years ago, we actually got the speed limit actually changed. I don't know if you were here then, but way back when, the 55 went all the way past the bridge. And people were going at the school there, they were going 45 plus. And we actually got that speed limit changed. And I want them to move that 55 speed limit back towards the Butte further, so then it becomes 45 and then becomes 35 as you hit the bridge. And so by that time they get into the town, they're going a lot slower. And the way to get those, I think, accomplished is I want to see a stoplight at Valley Way and Arctic. Now that's a little bit of a difficult situation because, it's not our road, but I think that we have some leverage there that we can do something with that. The problem that they have is when they analyze intersections, you probably know, they don't count near misses, fender benders, any of that kind of stuff. They count fatalities. And if we don't, and so the fewer fatalities you have on an intersection, the lower down the road, it actually goes on scoring. So I've been, and I know that Ben White, who's head of, I think it's AMATS in Anchorage, is well aware of that. And, and he has that same concern that we need to change their statistics, and, their requirements on how they grade their roads. So again, I appreciate all that you're doing. I just want to let you know that, it's not going unnoticed. Like I say, I am meeting with the DOT folks. I have an advantage that I'm the chairman of the Municipal Planning Organization, and they are on the board as well. So I will meet with them, actually meet with them tomorrow. So I appreciate all that you've done. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So I know these are going to be temporary until DOT takes over and does their whole reproject. What are the possibilities of being able to reuse some of these things? Because there's obviously other intersections that could use more lighting. The pedestrian beacons, I think, is a great idea. I'm not so sure about the refuge islands, just because I can't quite wrap my head around how that works, because I've never used one, and it sounds scary to stand in the middle of the road with cars going by. But is that something that you guys have looked at as far as like being able to uninstall and then reinstall them somewhere else so we can get more than 5 years out of them?
Yeah, so while one of the reasons why these are the suggested improvements or controls that we can put in place is because of.
Closer to the mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
It might be off. It's on. You're good.
Oh, okay. One of the reasons why we selected those three is because of the temporary nature of them. They can be used there for when they are needed, but then they can also transition to different areas in Palmer, using it downtown, say when you have the Friday Fling, or when we have Colony Days, or when we're looking to control traffic, better. These devices can then be taken moved to those temporary locations and used in other places. And that way they're not just a throwaway item that we throw away in 5 years.
So are we talking about Arctic and Alaska Street, Arctic and Valley Way, and then Arctic and Airport Road? Are those the three main intersections that we want to address?
You can go, Ken.
My guess it's Golcana where the
The
elementary school is.
Golcana?
Yeah, we're looking at between, the corridor that I addressed in this is from the Glen all the way to the bridge, that Arctic Avenue
Okay.
area.
And so that would include Golcana
That, yep. I
and
live,
Airport.
and just a little bit of history, I live on that north side. I've been in Palmer for 50 years. So I've seen it change the traffic wise, and I can understand why the traffic back then, why the road is designed the way it was. Heck, I remember chasing cows across the road that got free. So I remember and know why that road was there and why it was set up that way. Times have changed.
Yeah. So we're talking about about four intersections?
Yeah, they're a total of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what we're suggesting is for the highest traffic areas where we see people crossing over the most is where we want to put those temporary controls in.
Right.
We want to kind of control that traffic, people and vehicles. We want to control where they cross.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Member Perry, good presentation. I appreciate it. Hey, I like what the mayor had to say about the lower speed limits. I mean, drive out there to Bawden Smith Road quite often, and it seems upsetting to me even before the testimony of Mr. House and your testimony of the event that happened with the school bus, that there's still a 35-mile-an-hour zone through basically where residents are. I mean, you know, there's several houses on Arctic as you get in through Golcana. So I like your suggestion. That seemed pretty cost-effective for, temporary measures as we try to get DOT, which can be a arduous and time-consuming process, as you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation, to 2030 improvements. We should be working now to implement some of these smaller dollar figure things that can give us some sort of immediate relief, because, even when the kids just cross to go field trips, to go to Colony Museum, to go different things, or somebody mentioned to cross for skateboard park and other places, it's hazardous to say the least. I mean, it's such a, I didn't know the 10 to 17,000 a day number, but it doesn't shock me. I mean, you see that traffic there all the time. So thanks for bringing it to our attention. Hopefully we can use some of our excess revenue we have with the city to implement some of these immediate life and safety things.
And something, thank you, I wanted to point out is that one of the reasons why the DOT is moving forward is because of pressure put on them by this council and by the commission. So we have a force and we can make change. And one of the reasons, again, why these are temporary, as opposed to the speed limit, I did put that down. I think that was in the packet that we handed out. I put that down, but that isn't in our control. That's somebody else makes the decision. And then it has to come all the way down the line. And that can take years. So this is something, and that we just had a transportation fair. I went and spoke to some of the engineers there and spoke to them about the improvements they're gonna make with the area between the Glen Highway between Alaska Street and to the Glen Highway. I understand what improvements, and what they spoke to me about is that they're looking almost to us to suggest something. Because they're busy.
Yeah.
They want a suggestion to move forward and not ask them how can they fix it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, I had a couple questions on the beacons and then the islands and then location. So on the beacons, Any idea how susceptible they might be to vandalism, cold temperatures, wind, those types of things?
Well, they are used all over Alaska, so I wouldn't know of how, I imagine it's the quality of what you purchase, you get what you pay for. But, they are used all over Alaska. They work, and that's, the statistics show, they just plain work. So they are used in other areas, and we can talk to other municipalities about where they got theirs and how to set them up. That wouldn't I think be a.
So they're tried and true as far
Yeah,
as
they're
Alaska?
tried and true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regarding the pedestrian islands, would it affect the snow plowing?
The wood, that is one of the, why it's the lowest on the list of the three options, and that's because of, they would need to be removed in the wintertime for the plows.
Okay.
They would be a temporary seasonal summertime, non-snow, time of year
Okay.
project.
And they'd be kind of sitting in the center lane, is that the idea? And
They're like a raised, so, what is the street right out here with the crossing area?
Oh, the raised
the raised
Yeah.
one?
Colmean intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, it would be similar to that.
Okay.
But it is a temporary structure, so it would be laid down, then removed.
Okay.
And Felton as well.
And then as far as location, and this might be, Mr. Mayor, for yourself as well, at the 2030 reconstruction project, do they already have pedestrian areas laid out as a part of that plan? And the reason I ask is like if we should mirror what's going to be done in 2030 so that people develop, similar driving and pedestrian habits, or is it still uncertain where those would be as part of that 2030 plan?
There's a couple of plans that they're talking about. One, particularly for example, at Valley Way and Arctic, they were talking about an overpass, if you want to call it that, as a pedestrian overpass. And another thought would be, one similar to that or just crosswalks down by Golcana Street. Those are the two major ones. The overpass, is potentially okay for pedestrians unless maybe you're a kid on a bike or a mother in a stroller, but it doesn't do anything for cars. You still have the issue of trying to cross Arctic from Valley Way, either turn right, turn left, or go straight. And so that's a discussion that I'm having with them. They initially came up with this overpass, and I want to have a stoplight there. And in regards to your other comment, if you go up Alaska Street, there is a flashing light, rectangular light that is actually a speed limit light, and it's similar to what the commissioner is talking about. There's also one down by Palmer Junior Middle School as well that are run by solar power. So they do work. But yeah, as far as the pedestrian crossing that is, in discussion, it was brought up potentially about a median, which is probably one of the scariest ones that you can have. I don't know whether I would like to be a mother pushing a stroller, run halfway across the street, stand on a median, and then try to run across the street the other direction, continue on. An advantage that we've had is one of the fellows who is DOT here for the Valley actually lives off of North Valley Way. He was riding his bicycle across Arctic and fell. And he was amazed at how fast cars were passing him by. And so, we have a little bit of an advantage that he'll think twice about having, an overpass or something there. So, yeah, but it's still in discussion phase.
And Mr. Mayor, based on your initial comments, is there any danger of, like if we basically take care of some of the problem through some of these measures, would that at all remove some of the urgency for DOT on this 2030 plan?
But, they're pushing that pretty hard.
Okay.
I don't think that it would remove any of the urgency from them. I think what a potential issue could be is that because it is a state road, obviously we have to get permission from them to, go ahead and do stuff. But in the past, I found that, years ago, working with them, that, if we have the plan and we have some funds, then they're willing to go ahead and do that. So as long as it doesn't impede with, with what their plan is. And, I'll go back history. When Airport Way and the charter school driveways were misaligned, we had a serious accident from a teacher trying to enter into the charter school when someone else was trying to enter into Airport Way. And we got DOT together and said, we would like to have you align those driveways. And their comment was, we don't have any money and it's on the STIP for 10 years down the road. And I made the comment at the time that I said, the city has the funds, we will pay for that. But they had to do something for us. So that's when Gulkana, Airport Way, and East Evergreen got paved. But they were willing to go ahead and do the project, providing that we came up with the funds. And so that might be, an incentive for us to come up with the plans. And if we have monies for certain things, and, we just go ahead and, kind of push that envelope.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
One of my questions, this is a state road, Arctic Avenue, all the way out to the Glen. Is anyone in collaboration with the Alaska State Troopers to monitor that highway and just make a presence? Because I've driven that before and after work. It's dark, it's lonely, and they drive fast and they scare me. So, but I just wanted to know if there was any collaboration between the Palmer Police Department and the Alaska Troopers to monitor that road for speed.
I'm not aware of any at this point, but that doesn't mean that that's not something that we could move forward with and ask them to do that. And I think, even though it's a potential that speed limits take a while to happen, I think that's another envelope that we can push. It's not a big deal for them to actually just move some signs, further down the road on the old Glen and, and make sure that they're going 35, when they hit the school zone, and or lower. But that's something that I'm in discussion with them.
That whole road right there, because it's inside city limits, even though it's a city, it's a state road,
Yes.
it's enforced by PPD. So PPD would be the ones running traffic within the city limits, so from the bridge all the way down, as far as the city limits go. So AST generally, in my experience, does not do targeted traffic enforcement within the cities unless there is a specific event like the Alaska
Right.
State Fair going on in the city. So it would be PPD, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Mayor.
Right, yeah, you're correct.
Commissioner Hunt?
Thank you. I am going to provide a summary of what we just presented to you in terms of the three areas that we presented as the planning commissioner. And I'm going to be very candid with you tonight. We've been pushy. The planning commissioners have been pushy, and this is not entirely normal. We feel extremely strongly about Arctic Road and the potential for conflict there between vehicles and dogs and children, and it is a safety issue. You'll recall that this whole discussion started off with what we have done as a planning commissioner for the last 2 years or whatever, and there's a lot of things on that list. And some of them we're proud of and some of them we're not. But we discussed them and we did it legitimately and so on. Then we went into the wonderful visionary kind of ideal for the park strip or whatever you want to call that area, which is the fun part of being a planning commissioner, I have to tell you. The first part of all the approvals and conditional uses, that's pretty tedious. So we went from tedious, then we went to the visionary stuff, which is also important. And we're ending with public safety. This is where Mr. Mayor and the council members, we are laying it on you because you are the elected officials here and your main goal is public safety. Not visionary, not happy little things, not aesthetics, not all these things that are very, very important. Public safety is what has you here, and that is the primary function of government. And Arctic Avenue is a place that is going to be hurt. People are going to be hurt, and it's going to come back. There will be, you've gone through so many controversial issues this year. Libraries, golf courses, railroad ties, help me, the big one. Parking, no, there's more. Come on, we could list, you have gone through such amazing controversial issues. This one isn't. You are not going to get any guff from any political group or anything if you make that road safer. You're not going to get any guff. The only people that are going to complain are the people that drive really big trucks, really fast, really loud, and they have to slow down. Oh, well, we're saving children. Think about the population that crosses there. I walk every day in Palmer, and I get very passionate about this, especially when a big truck goes by and rams their, I don't know what they do. They accelerate and they scare the living, it's very frightening. The people that are at that intersection all the time are kids. They are trying to get to the park or the library or vice versa to their schools. Maybe their music lesson is in Palmer. Their art class is at the Presbyterian Church. You've got kids going there. You now have a special group of people walking at that corner, and you all know it, and it's our new food bank clients. Many of them walk. Some of them are not all there mentally. Frankly, that's what happens. And they're walking on that road that has very little sidewalk and no jurisdiction as how to cross. You have the brand-new Academy High School. We reviewed those plans on Monday night, last Thursday night, which is the brand-new high school. Beautiful campus. All those kids are going to be driving there. You got 16-year-olds driving there. Their campus plans are gorgeous. That adds to that intersection. It's astounding how many people actually use that road. And the whole idea of an overpass, forgive me, Mr. Mayor, but if you're a pedestrian in the winter, you're not going to climb up 2 floors of icy stairs to cross over. It's just not going to happen. You need to have an on-site plan for that. And, my other planning commissioners have accused me of being a little too passionate on this, and I really don't care. This is something that we have to be, as a body, assertive about, and to some degree, aggressive about. And we've tried to do that with DOT at the planning fairs and so on. Mr. Perrin is a brand-new planning commissioner. He did this giant, I hope you guys in the back got some of the study and the work he did with interviewing the troopers and the police, and I am so impressed with that. That was ammunition and fuel for this thing. I could go on and on. I guess what I want to leave you with is, yes, we have a vision and we'll continue to do that. Yes, we'll do the conditional uses and all the tedious stuff, but we want you to fund the public safety version of Arctic Avenue because it is essential. And I'm going to let you guys hit it with questions here, but did I cover it enough?
Maybe a couple more times.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do feel very strong about this one. This is one we do not want another accident, because it's going to be a little kid next time, and we will not recover. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
So, so the road, the intersection, it really reminds me of growing up in Eagle River. So I won't say how long ago, but long enough ago that you could walk through Eagle River without anything weird going on as a child. So, one of the things that we had going up Eagle River Road, which it was a beautiful trail, big wide road, and we're going to Walmart because Walmart just opened. And they have pedestrian overpasses. I can tell you as a kid that was on that road, which was a fast road, icy, dark, I never once ever used that stupid overpass to get across Eagle River Road. It never happened. And just like the commissioner said, it is absolutely imperative that we consider the kids that are going to be crossing. We've got Three Bears where the teenagers are going to hang out at Three Bears because teenagers. We've got the skate park and all of that stuff. I just want to say that I wholly support the beacons and the more lighting. My only concern with the refuge islands is the seasonal maintenance over the next few years. Having to take them out, put them back, that kind of thing, and them getting damaged. Is there anywhere else in the state that we know of that's used these kind of long-term but not permanent refuge islands? I'm not opposed to the idea, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the logistics of them.
They have been used in other places. I've experience seeing them used in other places. They were, for instance, used off of Beverly Lakes Road in Wasilla. They had those when they were doing a lot of construction there because the traffic got routed through Beverly Lakes Road, which was never supposed to happen. It was supposed to go a different direction. So they put in these temporary islands for people to speed bumps, and then they replaced them with permanent ones or semi-permanent ones. So they've been used in those, and it's just a large, heavy mat, basically, that gets bolted down. They've worked. I talked to the commander of Palmer Police Department, and he and I spoke about those. And actually, that was one of his top 3 suggestions also. He said he could imagine all sorts of things. He said, but it will slow traffic because nobody's going to want to catch air going across them. So that was one of his suggestions, or one of his top 3 suggestions. So they've been used. It is, I said, lower on my list just because of the temporariness of them and the winter maintenance of them. The other ones require less maintenance and can be year-round. And as I said, they are temporary, so they can be moved. They can be used in other locations as needed.
Thank you.
So looking at like the intersection of Arctic and Valley here on a map, so there's no crosswalks, there's nothing there. No. So without lights, can you put a crosswalk and then flashing lights on that road? Because there's not going to be a turn, there's not going to be a button they can push to cross.
But that's what we want.
And so can we, okay, so that's what we're wanting. We're wanting crosswalks, a button, and flashing lights. And same with, well, the food bank is there on Denali. There's nothing, there's no crosswalks or anything there, and there's nothing up at the Gulcana and/or the airport road. So there's nothing on any of those well, no, there is a crosswalk on Airport Road to the school. And there is Arctic. Okay, so you're asking for lights and crosswalks and at some point to slow yourself down, speed limit.
Well, as I said, those are options, so.
Right.
I would be happiest with probably with the temporary lights for
Right.
crosswalks.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get all 3, that'd be fantastic, but I understand that funds are limited.
Right.
And the one with the highest results, the best results, and it's one of the least expensive items you can do, is the temporary RFP. So it doesn't, that's why that was why it was my number one suggestion. And I moved it down from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Just another thought I had as far as location, as we consider that, is across from the Matanuska River Park. I see usually kids with bicycles crossing there often. There's no sidewalk on the north side, they're next to the Matanuska River Park. And there's a bike path on the other side, so they're always trying to cut across, and often you see, a couple of the kids go for it, they make the run, a couple stay back, a couple get caught in the middle, trying to decide what they're gonna do. And I think a lot of people use that park in the summer, the bike park back in there, the soccer fields, et cetera, so that might, and I was thinking it could potentially slow traffic as it comes into town a little earlier if something was like that was placed out further from town. So just a thought as far as location.
Is that borough land there across the park? Because
I believe it's all within Palmer City limits, and
the Matsu River Park? Is borough, okay,
is it?
yeah.
Okay. But the other side of the road then, we're talking city, right? Someone let me know if I got that wrong.
Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if you mentioned you were having a meeting tomorrow with DOT, is that correct?
Actually, it's the Municipal Planning Organization meeting, and these two gentlemen attend that meeting, and I will get with them after the meeting, and we will discuss these issues.
If we were to ask DOT for their approval to implement these safety measures for Arctic, then we could perhaps ask the city if they would fund them. Would that be something that we could trust will go forward with?
Yeah, what my suggestion would be that we would, let us look into it a little bit, and we already have, I guess, the costs of these, and then we would write a letter to DOT and suggesting that this is where we want to place these. City will fund them, and then get their approval.
Sounds wonderful, thank you. Nate would like to speak, please.
Any other questions, comments?
Nate's coming forward, Mr. Mayor.
I think the mayor was asking if you had any other questions.
Sorry, I do not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Mr. Mayor was talking about and kind of do a side comment to Barbara's or Commissioner Hunt's comments. Mayor was discussing about a DOT engineer, traffic engineer, planner that, rides his bike. That gentleman has fervently been involved in multiple things, including the parking study. Our public awareness, he sat and talked about and sat at the table and talked about the bicycles. He's in every single meeting that I've been in, from the Arctic Ave to Palmer Fishhook project. And I say that it was the Arctic Avenue to Palmer Fishhook project because it was, until everybody that's sitting and looking at me right now got involved. So we talk about, it's a slow-moving cruise ship, but not really, because within less than 12 months, this entire dais and the Planning Commission were able to move their little project to Alaska Street. This is not unrealistic. Because you guys did what you did, and Mr. Perrin, or Commissioner Perrin had discussed, that was directly because you guys got involved. Something that was like slaying an 8-headed hydra, you guys did it. One head came off, and they were like, oh, we had no clue. They looked into that project, they expanded it to Alaska, and that gentleman that rides a bike as part of DOT said the only reason why they didn't go to the bridge is because there's another project team already on that. So that project team from 2030 that's looking at the rest of Alaska, or Arctic Ave, actually gave that chunk of the project to the Glen Highway Arctic Avenue project. and said, hey, let's piece it off because it is so important. Because they looked at that and took everything you guys said and did, and they took it into huge consideration where it's part of the project. This is definitely something that is completely attainable. Additionally, regional DOT guy who's been in multiple meetings, including the expansion for the Academy Charter High School, the Arctic Ave to Palmer Fishhook project, the proposed Arctic Ave project that's coming down the pike. It's the same three individuals that are in this meeting every single time in multiple projects. We constantly are seeing these people's faces, and the more they see our faces, the more there's more clout, rapport that's being built. In addition, it has been my number one goal as the director to increase communication between departments, one of them being Public Works. Jude worked for the borough. He knows 90% of the people over there. We have fervently been working together to make these projects happen. And Barbara, and without stealing all this thunder here, Barbara talked about the visionary, exciting stuff. Keep in mind, that railroad corridor doesn't end at Arctic Ave. That railroad corridor ends at Eagle. And matter of fact, goes even further in to the bluffs. Just because we think conceptually, it's absolutely not. That corridor goes all the way to the river, which means that visionary project that's fun is also more ammo to talk about how are we going to get people to go from the south corridor, the ground cutting of that corridor to be successful, not only for my grandkids, but for y'all's grandkids and their kids. It's important to me. I live here too. It's just because it's visionary doesn't mean that it can't have teeth. And those correlate together with all that minutia that we talk about. Sometimes it's boring, but we can make exciting things, make boring things more exciting. The tracks, we talk about the tracks in the study. That study got put forth in 2020, and there was huge public outcry because of that quote, cutting the tracks, removing the tracks. So that actually kind of got backburnered, and then we had to go out and have a public awareness strategy for the corridor, which we have in the pike. We have an RFP for that. That specifically was because public outcry about what that word meant, like removing the tracks. Now, we have a couple different things have happened. 557 kind of doesn't look like they're going to be utilizing the tracks. The Alaska Railroad came in and said, we are not going to be upgrading it. It's too expensive, not feasible. We have the Whittier situation going on right now. Additionally, Public Works had a successful project with fireweed. People saw that cutting the tracks didn't mean removing them all. It meant removing the tracks tactfully, respecting the history, and reducing the crown, making it safer for the Pioneer Home residents to cross that, safer for anybody going to Palmer Jr. or the museum, safer for the entire community coming through that little, and now it's frog hopped to Evergreen. And despite my personal opinion, it's going to frog hop to Cedar, right? These things are happening. But I will tell you right now, as long as I'm in my seat, the railroad corridor, in the sense of the historical section, I'm going to try my darndest to keep the pavilion, or what we'd say fireweed, to at least 100 yards, bare minimum, north of the depot. I don't want it touched. If I have my way, ain't nobody going to touch it. It needs to be enhanced. We need to take some of those historical landmarks, like I don't even know what it calls. I'm going to embarrass myself here. Whatever the levers are, the cool stuff that when you're a little kid, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Taking those out of the corridor and bringing them to that historical area near the depot. Those are the things that should be implemented, like the hand cart that you'll see in your packet, that kind of stuff. We can go all the way north to the river and pluck some of those items up, bring them over, and revitalize that area. That would be my goal. And obviously, I'm going to do my best to influence, guide, it's probably a better word, guide the planning and zoning in doing so, and making sure that we make sure that Palmer is beautiful as well as functional and safe. So thank you. I just wanted to fill in some of the gaps that were being said. So appreciate appreciate you guys.
If we have nothing else, and we'd like to have a motion to come out of committee of the whole.
A motion to come out of the committee of the whole?
Second?
Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Allen,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
And then, I lost my voting sheet, hold on. Commission Member Jackson,
Yes.
Commission Member Laffey. Aye. Commission Member Hunt,
Yes.
Commission Member Perrin,
Yes.
and Commission Member Combs.
Yes.
It is unanimous, approved, and we are out of committee of the whole.
Thank you. I don't think that we have any council direction for the commission. I might be wrong. If anybody sees that we, or thinks that we do have, please speak up. At this point, I think we have all this information that we need to work and move forward on. I don't think that we have any direction that we need to push back down to the commission at this point.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a question. So, and this might actually be a better question for Benji. So we've had this meeting. We spoke about solutions for the public safety for those intersections. At this point, would it not be the direction of the council to ask the Planning and Zoning Commission to put a plan together to present those to council or to get them on the next meeting or 2 meetings from now where we can see a budget for this and see how that's going to work, if that's something that we want to do? Or am I missing a step in there?
You really have a couple options. You can give direction to them to put a plan together and some costs, but it kind of looks like they kind of already did that.
Right.
So your other option is you could direct the city manager to get Public Works started on it, since I think that, I believe is his department. So you have that option. Even another option would be, you guys could have your own committee of the whole, perhaps at the next meeting, so y'all could, now that you've had time to digest it, and then you could do direction then. So you have a few options at this point.
Okay.
And any of you can ask me to put a committee of the whole on an agenda. It's not like it has to be two of you or one of you, like any of you can ask for me to add a committee of the whole on an agenda.
I guess basically.
My suggestion would be to go to that, number 3, is that once we get information from the Planning and Zoning Commission, that we actually put it on a committee of the whole for the next meeting and/or the meeting after that, and then at that point, we can direct the city manager and Public Works to move forward.
I would like to make a motion to do that.
I second.
So to be clear, to put a committee of the whole on the next city council meeting in order to discuss the Arctic Avenue Safety Corridor Plan.
That's only 1 week away. Is that enough time, or do we need 2 weeks?
Enough time for me, but.
It actually is, because I released the packet on Wednesday for that meeting, so it's just a matter of me putting it on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for checking, though. I appreciate that. So that is the question, is 4:28 going to be enough time for all of you guys to be ready for that, for a committee of the whole, or would you rather wait to the next meeting?
I second the motion.
It's been seconded, but you're okay with it? That's okay. Okay, I will add the committee of the whole to the agenda, that's fine.
All right, so, Madam Chair, I want to thank you and your commissioners for coming out tonight and having this joint meeting with us, and for all your presentations and all the hard work that you've been doing for us. I really appreciate that. And so, not giving anybody else an opportunity to speak, we are adjourned.
And Councilwoman Graham, the railroad will never, ever sell that piece of land. If you-
It's an election year.